Good morning. The Franklin County Board of County Commissioners ninth session. Pastor D, would you lead us in prayer, please, sir?
Let's just have a moment of silence for the young lady that is part of our community that passed away. Father, we just thank you this morning, God. We thank you for this commission, God, that you will give them the wisdom and insight to make the best decisions in regards to Franklin County. Father, we thank you, God, that we are united as one in this county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again. Next on the agenda will be approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Masters, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously. Next on the agenda will be payments of the county bill.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously. Public comment?
Go ahead.
Go to the podium, sir, and give your name.
Good morning. I'm Nathan Thompson from Panacea and Crawfordville. My situation this morning is I recently received a grant for the oyster situation in Franklin County in Alligator Harbor. I received a pamphlet, well, several pamphlets, but this is one of them, and it tells you everything about raising an oyster and goes into great detail, 3 pages in it, tells you how to keep your boat, how to keep your boat clean, how your boat has to be, and everything. But the one most important thing it doesn't tell you is how you get your boat in the water. And that's very important. Presently, there are several leases already in action in Alligator Harbor. They put their boat in at the end of Surf and Sand, which is a dirt road with no parking. With the 22 new additional leases, there are going to be at least 22 more boats put in there 2 or 3 times a week. So it's going to get quite congested. Already they're out to the road parking, and the people there, I don't know how they put up with it, but they do put up with it. My suggestion is to try to acquire the old FSU Marine Lab on Alligator Point. I understand that it's not the possession of FSU anymore. It is state of Florida. All I'm over here today for is to start off by getting all you guys, most of you already know about the situation, getting you on board in helping me acquire that property and building a nice boat ramp. It seems that there'd be about 300 people using it within a month for sure, plus the public. Is that my time?
No, go ahead.
Okay. But eventually it's going to be a heated situation, and we all know what, after being on the water all day and then coming in and no place to take your boat out. But that's neither here nor there. What I need to do is get you guys totally on board, pushing along with me to get this property from the state and build a nice boat ramp over there with public parking, and my want is no charge at all. Presently, there's not a boat ramp from Alligator Harbor all the way to Carabel. One at Leonard's Landing is totally unusable. There's another little boat ramp. You can put the boat in, but there's no place to park. The one there at Lanark is turned private, so there's no place to put your boat in at all. So that's my wish, and if you guys can help or tell me how to help, I want to do anything I can to get this done.
Mr. Chairman, I would just reiterate what he said. I would just say hallelujah, preaching to the choir. I've been trying to get this accomplished for 25 years.
Oh, goodness.
As I told you before the meeting started, that my first goal was to get FSU to turn over the boat ramp to the county. And all I should see doing was getting FSU so sick and tired of me that they gave the property to the state of Florida so that they couldn't say to me, it's not our problem anymore. So if you want to get credit, I get credit for getting it to the state of Florida because FSU was sick of me. But we've made no progress getting the state of Florida to relinquish it. It's a great asset. It's been underutilized and locked up for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's public property. It needs to be available to the public. I agree with everything you say. But we've had no success. So I think the board is all, and I say this to you all, I think we've shown our support in years past when we knew FSU had it. And so I would defer to either getting a hold of our state elected officials. We now have a state representative, which we didn't have for the last
Right.
year or so, and see if he will at least.
I've already talked to him, and he's on board. He just doesn't have his feet on the ground yet.
No, it's a valuable asset, and everything you say is accurate.
You do know the last person that talks about it before it is done gets credit for it, right?
That would be you.
That's the way it works. I've been where you are, and the last person that hollers about a situation and it gets done is the one that gets credit for doing all that 20-year before work.
No, all I got
So-
was it moved from the FSU's hands to the state of Florida.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'd like a motion from one of the commissioners
So move.
to write our,
Mr. Chairman, we don't
I
take,
mean, after public comments, I want a motion, I'm just telling them.
right, I mean, it's the board's policy, but I would remind you, the board does not take action during public comment. You just
Okay,
listen.
yeah,
and-
that's right.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'll tell
During
it when we
commissioner
get to.
comments or some later point.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to reiterate and advocate what you've said this morning. I think is just very appropriate. I've also had many calls regarding not only the boat ramp you mentioned, but other ones that are dysfunctional and not working well. Now we have the impetus of the aquaculture system right there in Alligator Harbor, which adds even more of an impetus to do that. I want to be sure that you tell your folks that we are major interested in this, and we'll press on and pursue it.
Public comment? Come on.
Good morning. My name is Donna Butterfield. I brought a copy of the Weems ACA evaluation, all 60 pages. As you must know, if a grade were to be awarded, it undoubtedly would be a resounding F. It's past time to hold your CEO accountable for Weems' failures. Commissioner Parrish, at a meeting not too long ago, you reminded Mr. Cannington that he worked for you, and his job was to bring in the money. If Weems loses its critical access status, Cannington will be the direct cause of another loss in Weems revenue. Remember the report card. Weems failed to ensure the provision of quality health care in a safe environment. But H.D. Cannington is no stranger to the plight of rural hospitals. In 2013, under his direction as CEO, a hospital in Georgia had to close. He was hired, and in just 12 months, he oversaw the closing of the hospital's doors, leaving that hospital $6 million in debt. In 2014, he was hired to be the CEO of another rural hospital, this time in Florida. He was hired, and after just 8 months of his leadership, the hospital closed its door, citing financial woes. You are preparing to put Franklin County citizens millions of dollars in debt, but I believe there is no one at Weems who has the professional skills and the track record to spend that money wisely and, as importantly, give quality health care another chance. Please do the right thing, Commissioners.
Public comment?
Yes, sir. My name's Lance Jacobs. I'm a property owner at 325 Old Ferry Dock. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Jones, not the rest of you. I have got some concerns. I'm trying to improve the property. I've gotten building permits. I feel like I've been kind of discriminated against because I got a building permit. I've got a letter. I'm an insurance adjuster, so I was gone for Michael. Then I was sent to Michigan for 6 months to deal with the polar vortex. So I have little time to come down and work on it. I'm trying to pay things as I go. I've already cleared the property, put a complete fence around it to protect what belongings I have. I get a letter in the mail saying they're going to cut my power since I didn't have an inspection on my building permit the first 6 months. I purchased it July of last year. So I had 3 surgeries scheduled. I canceled all that. I had to be here within 10 days or they're cutting my power to my camper out there, which I only get to visit a couple times a year. My problem is, and I don't mind, I was on the city council where I'm from. I go by the rules. I got my permits, but I got campers across the street just slipped in behind mobile homes tied into their sewer. I got people behind me clearing their lot, putting in single-wide mobile homes. I was told I could get a mobile home. I checked on prices to have the DP50 windows and hurricane rating. It was between $100,000 and $150,000 for a mobile home, and they have to be built. You just can't pull one in. I got people down the street that pulled out old campers, put in new campers. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. You know, why would I go to the problem of getting permits to try to do the right thing? And then they have their, you know, I get these letters in the mail saying, hey, we're going to cut your power and you're going to disconnect everything because you haven't done what you said you were going to do. I mean, I have all my neighbors, and I don't care what they do with their property, but I don't need somebody putting their thumb on my throat. If they're going to make me abide by the rules, which I don't mind doing, but everybody else should be doing the same thing. I understand grandfathering, if they had it in there before all this took place, but when you start taking buildings off one property to put them on another property, the grandfather doesn't work anymore. They should be bringing everything up to code, like everything else. So I was just real concerned is then I get direction of I can put up a pole barn, but I can't use metal on the sides. Gentleman up the road has pole barn with metal on the sides. He got it permitted and passed. I have to build a metal building on a slab. I was pricing that. I'm sort of going, I get all these mixed messages on what I'm allowed to do and what I can't do. So I'm real concerned, and I'm like, I don't know whether, in fact, that I'm being discriminated against because I got a permit. And if they say, hey, no harm, no foul, let's don't do the permit, we'll do what we want, and we'll just ask for forgiveness later. But I'm trying to do the right thing, and I just feel like I'm getting a little bit jerked around because I did get a permit. And I'm getting held to the standards nobody else has because I got all this stuff going on around me. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I did talk to Mr. Jones about it. He's got some photographs of some of the things going around in my area. And I'm sort of going, you know, I come down here twice a year. My place is clean. I cleared off the houses. I cleared everything off. I got a fence around the place. And I said, I'm making a great improvement trying to make a final home for my wife and I.
Time up, sir.
Thank you.
If you're gonna ask commissioners, yeah, I'll look into the situation and see exactly
Okay.
what it is. I'll actually give the gentleman my card and, you know, I'll talk to him and find out exactly, do a little research.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Public comment?
Hey,
Good morning, Commissioners. Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens, Franklin County. I'll be brief. I don't believe there's been any meetings this year in Carabel. That's something we have traditionally done. Am I wrong? Have we had a meeting this year in Carabel? No.
I have no idea.
And I would ask, I've had people ask me about meetings in Carabel. I've had people ask me about evening meetings. There are many people that would really like to see you put into action the words of your commissioners, of the commissioners, that we're open and we're looking for comments from citizens. We really aren't very open. We need to have these evening meetings. We need to have meetings in Carabel. You know, I personally drive 50 miles each way to get to these meetings. Just like the gentleman was here, you know, he brought a problem. He feels that the county is not really listening to him. We have a policy that we created in the last 18 months where we no longer talk to citizens at commission meetings. When we have an issue come up that people don't understand and then you go into discussion before you vote, there's no real ability for the people to input their thoughts on what's happening. I know you're meeting the letter of the law, but you're definitely not meeting the spirit of the law. And I would ask that you reconsider your public persona and stop being so closed off to the people that elected you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your good works. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Public comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is David Walker with Florida A&M University Cooperative Extension Program. Here in the county, we're establishing a small business center here locally, and I have Dr. Gerald Henson. He's from Florida A&M University Small Business Development Center. So he just want to tell you what he'll be doing in the county for our constituents.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Gerald Henson. I work with the Florida Small Business Development Center at FAMU. We're in Tallahassee. We were here during Hurricane Michael to provide emergency bridge loans for businesses, and it's my responsibility to be in the county to provide services to small businesses. So I'm just now starting to try to get a footprint here, but we're here to support the startups and small businesses and help them in any way that we can. So I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak, but again, Gerald Henson, and we're with the Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where y'all located at, sir?
We're in Tallahassee.
I'm talking about in Appalachia.
No, we aren't at this point. This is my first time since the disaster trying to decide and work with Reverend Walker on a location so that local businesses will know where we are and can come and avail themselves to our services.
And what I told him earlier is that, we can, I'm located downtown community center, and I told him that he can use my office space down there.
Okay.
Initially, if you want to, meet with some of his clients, small business owners there. So initially, we will open our space for him, to be there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment?
Good morning, Barbara Roars, Lanark Village. I had heard a report that they were discussing moving the ambulance department from Lanark into the building in Carabel, which is there on the curve. It's not too safe, but I guess that they'll figure out how they're going to put that there. Our biggest concern in Lanark, I know that when they built the ambulance department, it used to just be our firehouse. The county spent a lot of money putting in the ambulance department. It's a fine, fine building, and the people that work there are very happy with the location and everything. And the problem seems to be is what's going on with the fire department. It's not so much the people at the ambulance. And you cannot have people living on the fire department's property that just because they had to move out of their house because it got condemned. So now we have a person who's living there in a trailer, a camper on the property. We have another person in the fire department that has this car, old junky car parked up there. It's not their property to do as they choose. Our fire department is so out of control with no order, and it's just become terrible. A neighbor of mine was telling me they have a little problem because we all want to have the speed bumps put in. So the fire department is a little bit mad because the one guy that's on the fire department was the person who hit the dog. And he comes flying up and down the road all the time. 2:30 in the morning, the fire truck comes down Parker Avenue blowing the horn at 2:30 in the morning. This has got to stop. This is childish. There's no reason that the people in our fire department are doing these kind of things. But, if the ambulance is going to be moved because we're going to have a paid fire department, well, I'd like to see that because our fire department doesn't do anything. And I understand every time that there is a fire, Carabel, Carabel, Alligator Point, or even St. George, everybody else is putting out the fires. They can't even find a fire hydrant. They don't ever have water on their truck. I've had a fire. I know how they are. And it's terrible. It's terrible. They're a bunch of juveniles. And we've got to do something with our fire department, not the ambulance. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments? Public comments. Okay, we gonna move on. I couldn't make no, now I would like a motion made that we send our representative a letter to see can they help with that boat ramp situation over there in Alligator Point.
So move.
Got a motion on the floor by
Commissioner Burt.
Commissioner Burt,
Yep.
second by Commissioner Massey. Any more discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Alan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we've already sent a letter to the Board of Trustees for the state of Florida, which has possession of this thing.
I think we have. I know we did it a lot to FSU. Well, I would say it's been a couple of years since we last contacted the state of Florida. So it wouldn't hurt to try again with a new state representative.
Right. Well, this is another issue. They're issuing all these leases down there, knowing that there's no public boat ramp there. And we don't own the property to make a public boat ramp there, so.
You're right, I remember that now.
Oh, yes, we have.
We sent it to maybe the DEP, somebody, whoever was listening, at least we warned.
It's
we
under
warned
the Board of
lease
Trustees.
Issuing agency of this problem.
So it's actually the governor and cabinet is the Board of Trustees for the state of Florida. They're the ones that has possession of that. We've already approached this, as Mr. Pierce said earlier, in trying to get them to turn that over to Franklin County, because they're issuing all these leases down there, and as you said, the one boat, the Sandy Road that you're talking about, these boats and trailers are halfway on other people's property down there. It's gonna be a problem. We've told them it's gonna be a problem. They were proposing a bunch more leases down there. And this is a letter that we wrote to them saying we don't have the capacity, the resources, the boat ramp, the parking, and all this for these other leases that they were gonna put on, over on the Occolocny Riverside. So we've already dealt with this issue one time, but we're getting no traction, no response. And it's gonna continue to be a problem with all, you were saying there's 8 or 10 people there, but there's many leases there.
Right.
And there's no place for these people to launch a boat, recover the product,
There
or
are
anything else.
22 new ones.
Yeah, we're aware of all that.
Right.
And the state's aware that there is no resources there for these people to launch, no place for them to park, but they continue to issue these leases.
Right.
So this has been an issue, an ongoing issue, and I guess it will be for a while. because
I've talked with them in depth.
If you'd let me finish, sir?
I'm sorry.
Sir, we already had public comment.
And we've already had public comment, but I'm just trying to make you aware of what the county has already done, and we acknowledge the problem. We've tried to help solve the problem with opening this up as Franklin County boat ramp, not as a private boat ramp, or not under private ownership, but as a government, from one government entity to another, which should be a lot easier for us to get it than it would be for you as a private citizen. But we're getting no traction. So, as I said earlier, we don't discuss a lot during public comment, but I wanted to put all those facts out there for you. So we're aware of the problem, and we're trying to deal with the problem. But we're gonna send them another letter that's been motioned and seconded here, and see if we get any traction, but I don't know that we will. But it seemed like we could get a letter of support out of the Department of Agriculture also, or else give it to them and let them run the boat ramp. I mean, but something has to be done if you're gonna continue to ask people to lease this bottom and do aquaculture with no way to put their boat in the water, nowhere to park their truck and the trailer till they get off the water. We understand the problem.
Well, what's happening there, we send it one place. It need to be copied all over the state because they don't get the picture. It's not so much room down there, and it's filled out. Sooner or later, it's gonna be a big problem. Somebody gonna get, you're gonna have to send Tony Smith down there, and they'll answer him then, when the sheriff go down there, cause he the one gonna have to straighten it out and send it to Tallahassee. Alrighty, where we at? Got a motion on the floor, and Any more discussion?
Mr.
All in-
Chairman,
yeah.
on this point of clarification if I can, so who all are y'all wanting to send this letter to? I just want to make sure we know who we're sending the letter to.
Well, I asked for it to go to our representative because he knew.
Right.
And then I
I
guess,
mean, I think the school representative saying the governor cabinet, ultimately let our elected official help us get the governor cabinet's attention, I
Right.
guess. Because we've already written the governor cabinet
Right.
when Dax was doing the
yeah.
lease
Right,
expansion.
right,
and we got no-
Okay.
But maybe by him being new that,
Okay.
he can help out.
I just want to make sure what we're voting for, sir.
Yeah. He just got in, he young, he'll go all over the state and try to work it out. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous. Okay. Next on the agenda be Mr. Rick Watson, tax collector, county-owned tax certificate discussion.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Rick Watson, Franklin County tax collector. The purpose of my appearance today is to discuss with you the county-owned tax certificates that are about to expire. I need some direction and discussion with you. To my knowledge, the county tax certificates have never applied. The county has never applied for a tax deed on the county-owned tax certificates. To kind of tell you about our process, any delinquent property tax that is not bought by a private investor is struck to the county. The tax certificates are good for 7 years, and at the end of 7 years, the tax certificate expires if no tax deed is applied for.
Mr. Chairman, I got one question real quick. When you keep saying they expire, what happens when they expire?
They just poof, they evaporate. It's
They
like
evaporate?
there never was a,
And the property remains with the owner?
correct,
And they have not paid the taxes on that property?
correct, correct. Now,
Now, is that fair to everybody else in the county that pays their property taxes?
well, that's why I'm here.
Okay. Proceed.
Let me tell you about the procedure. We do about 50 tax deed applications for the private investors, the private holders of tax certificates. And the process is fairly similar, but let me walk you through it briefly. After someone holds a tax certificate for 22 months, they can apply for a tax deed. A private investor has to pay all the taxes due for the last 7 years on the property. The county does not have to pay other people's taxes. So that's a savings to the county. It doesn't apply. We send a demand letter notifying the property owner that a tax deed application has been filed, and if the taxes aren't paid, they could lose the property. About 20% of the time, that demand letter results in the payment of the property. After the demand letter, the 2-week period has passed, a title insurance or a title search needs to be done on the property. The cost of that is $200. And that's to determine who gets notice when we file the tax deed application to get the property sold on the courthouse steps. The fees that the county would be looking at, and I've talked to both the clerk and the county attorney, the statute requires a $400 fee be paid to the clerk to handle the sale, and the cost of the title search is $200. The cost to my department is $75. So you're looking at $675 per parcel. Now, here's where the process differs between a sale on the courthouse steps by the county, in favor of the county. If anybody bids on the property, all the taxes have to be paid, including the county certificate. If nobody bids on the property, the county puts its expenses in, which is the taxes due on that year. and the cost that has been incurred. And then that title goes into the county. The county has to hold it for 3 years and goes to what's called an excess lands list. That excess lands list during that 3-year period, anybody can come, they have to pay everybody's taxes, including the county and their expenses. Marcia and I get calls all the time asking about the excess lands list. For Franklin County, we don't have a list because we never have done this before. So after 3 years, if nobody buys it out of the excess lands list, the title to the property is vested in the county. They can do whatever they want to with that property. They can sell it, get it back on the tax rolls. I know there's been discussion of workforce housing, affordable housing. Those lots in other counties are used for that purpose. This is not a short-term solution to affordable housing. It's a long-term solution because it takes about 4 months from the time that we file the tax deed application till the courthouse sale. And then you've got the 3 years you've got to hold it. And then the property goes to the county. There are 55 parcels that have county certificates on them that will expire in April of 2020. The statute says that the county is required to go forward on the tax deed application for property with a assessed value, appraised value of more than $5,000. So in the instance that I'm discussing with you, 55 county certificates are about to expire. 28 of those are on property that is appraised by the property appraiser at more than $5,000. So we're looking at 28 parcels. The value of those, the assessed value of those 28 parcels is $1,339,805. The taxes due to the county for that tax year, we're talking about 2013, 2012, is $29,811. So to recap, the 28 parcels, the filing fee, $400, application $75, title search $200. That's $675 per parcel. That totals $18,900. The TDAs, that's the tax deed application, can be processed over several months. For my office, it's a lot easier to do 5 or 6, a month to deal with that backlog. This is a new topic, I think, to the commissioners, and so I wanted to bring it to you. We've got a little bit of lead time here. A lot of these 28 parcels are for lots that are in some of those subdivisions in East Point that were platted back in 2005 and have not been developed. So I will see if those lots, we can have one tax deed application. I think I may be required by statute to have a tax deed application for each parcel, but I'll do the best I can to limit the cost to the county. But it's something that's an opportunity, I think, and it's something I would like for you all to consider. And the purpose of this presentation is to bring the discussion to you and give me some direction on how you want me to proceed.
I've been up here a while, and it's the first, like you said, it's the first time something like this came up in front of the commission.
As far as I can tell, it has not been done in the past. Mm-hmm. And the impact of that is that as the county's certificates expire, they just evaporate. I mean, it's just... And that happens at the end of 7 years. That's why I'm coming to you.
And some of these people no longer own the thing. Huh?
We don't know until we do the title search. That's why we've got to do the title search.
Well, I don't think it's fair for somebody to go 7 years without paying taxes, and at the end of it go back to them. I had to pay my taxes for 7 years, and everybody else. So I don't think that's right. I think we should do something to try to collect some money.
My recommendation is to proceed on those parcels that have an appraised value of more than $5,000. The statute allows you to make a decision to apply for tax deed on all the property. But since this is a new process for us, I think we ought to kind of see how it works out, how much taxes are paid. We can always revisit in future years, but if it's something that we do, I'll be coming to you every year about those parcels that are about to expire.
Yeah, 'cause they be done got over pretty good there. 7 years, no pay. Pleasure to vote on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
you know, it's, looking at the information you provided us, there's a couple different companies that hold a lot of this land.
Correct.
And if they don't, these companies, not individuals, but companies that own these properties, well, if they don't pay it for 7 years and then it expires and they get to keep their property, what's to say they don't do it another 7 years? And you're going on 14 years that you ain't paid taxes.
And these
to
are
the county.
absentee owners on the property. You'll notice that there are quite a few of those 28 are based out in California. My prediction is that we will not get a response, and that the property will be sold, and the county will either get paid its taxes due, or they'll get title to the property.
The next question is, where do we get the money to pay what we have to pay, which is a total of, what, $28,000?
$18,000.
$18,900.
$18,900.
Where does that,
Yeah.
where would that come from?
I thought that we said do that out of professional services. And once the county actually makes a decision to do something with the property, we most likely can use those funds. If it is turned over for affordable housing, perhaps there would be a way that we could actually recapture that, $400, $300.
And $675.
Yeah.
Would there be a problem for the commissioners to think about this and take
Oh,
action?
no, absolutely.
Take
This
action
is
at
a
the
new,
next-
this is a new issue I'm bringing before you. I provided a memo on it, and have talked to you, each of you individually, but it's a decision that you all need to make, and I want you to be comfortable with it.
I think the proper thing to do would probably be to table this thing and give the commissioners time to talk to county staff and finance and see what we want to do, maybe possibly at the next meeting. I don't know if that's agreeable to the rest of the board, but it's kind of my thought.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask one question. So if 28 of these lots have values of over $5,000, okay, those are probably full lots that are just in some sort of state of disrepair or inattention. The other 27, though, have values of less than $5,000. So those, I'll make the statement, are those lots that have eroded away perhaps and are just not there and the owners, that's why they have no value?
I do not think so. I have not done an analysis of those less than 5,000.
There's no way for him to be able to answer that question
Because
right now.
my point is if it washed away, those lots may also have some value because they may provide public access to water now, if we get our hands on those. Because I've been involved in some of those acquisitions on Alligator Point where the property is washed away and the owners have deeded the land to the county. So I just make.
I can check with the property appraiser. We work together on a daily basis and make a determination. I think it's important to evaluate those type of things, and I'm glad to do it, but I needed direction from the board on what to do.
Well, if we made a motion to table it, that would give us 2 weeks. Does that give staff?
Oh, that's fine with, it's not until April of 2020 that the certificates expire, and it takes about 4 months, so I need some decision from you all in this year, because it's a lot of work for Marcia's office and my office and to have the sales.
Any more discussion from the other commission?
We'll table it.
I think we should have a good discussion about it, table it, but it'd be on an agenda that we appraised about.
Okay, Commissioner Jones, most of these in your district.
Yeah, I'm good with, I'll make a motion that we table it.
Okay.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Parrish. Any more discussion? So how long y'all want to table it for?
As long as we should have, we should be able to have it ready by the next meeting, I think. And then we got 2 weeks, we just need to have the information. Is that fair?
Sure. I'm going to be out of town at the next meeting.
Okay,
it
so
could be the
when
following-
will be a good time for
the
you
next-
then? The beginning of September?
The first September meeting.
Okay, then I'll table my motion. I'm in my motion to include the next time we're gonna talk about it be the first meeting in September.
I'm in second.
Okay. I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones and by Commissioner Parrish, and they both been amended. We're gonna come back, talk about it again on the first meeting in September. Y'all ready to vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Really?
That passes unanimous, so we'll.
Thank you. If any of you have questions, don't hesitate to call me and as well as staff. And I look forward to seeing you in a month.
Thank you,
We
Rick.
appreciate
Thank
you letting us know about this situation, cause this the first, like I said, I've been here a while, and it's the first time it ever come up.
Well, I love my job, I tell you that.
I see you do. All right. Next on the agenda be the Department Director's report. Mr. Howard Neighbor, Superintendent of Public Works.
Morning, Commissioners, how y'all doing?
Hey.
Good morning.
We still continue on, Commissioner, cutting grass and cutting all right of ways back and putting covers in, cleaning ditches, cutting shoulders off the right of ways. Then I got one more item too, which we talked about at the budget meeting on a truck, a pickup truck that me and DeWitt's talked about, a four-door truck, which would be an inmate truck. I think we found one, which is, I think y'all should have it in the report. I think it's $35,000, which me and DeWitt's gonna half that, which you need a board approval on it.
Pleasure to the board on that.
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this gonna be done now, Howard, or is this gonna be done
Yeah.
after October?
No, it's gonna be before October. It's
Okay.
gonna, it's gonna come out of some FEMA money and stuff that we got
Okay.
in the budget. So.
You got the monies?
Yes, sir, I've talked to Aaron, and we got up with Aaron and Virginia and all, so
It's
we all good on that.
Hurricane Michael funds, and then we would also received about $20,000 in CEQA funding.
Okay.
Which he'll use the truck through the winter, then we use it through the summer for watching inmates.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Okay, and that's all I got. Unless y'all got something for me.
I heard y'all out to the hospital. How y'all going with?
We're doing good. We got all the trees cut down. We're removing stumps this morning and gonna tear the old trailer down also. So we should about have it, hopefully about a day, finished up, so.
Good.
And we'll fill the holes back in with dirt, lime rocket, dress it all up, so.
Okay. Keep up the good work.
Yeah,
Oh,
Commissioners, on behalf of, Stevenson County, on behalf of the hospital, well, Nicole's back there, I really want to thank Howard for all the work they did out there. They pretty much cleared it. We should have the EMS trailer in here for the Appalachian EMS station here within the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. So I think it's on the 22nd was the date, the target date. So I really want to thank Howard and the crew for all the work they've done. Saved us a lot of money and to get
Yeah.
that site cleared and ready for that.
yeah, y'all done a good job. I looked at it.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got anything for Mr. Neighbors? Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Get that signed up.
Next on the agenda be Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Hey,
Good morning.
All is well?
Yeah.
Good. I had a couple things on my report this morning that required board's action. I also have, just for your information, some items on the report and off the report. So I would first start off for board's information, Franklin County Dixie Youth Baseball World Series, the AA team, which considers Team Florida, traveled to Houston, Louisiana, played 5 games in the World Series, winning 2 games. The Team Florida coaches and parents would like to thank the board for their support in making this possible.
Mr. Chairman, Fonda,
Go
didn't they
ahead.
wind up being 4th place total in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, they knew they lost out, but
That's
after
right.
they lost, there were only 3 teams left.
right.
Yeah, I think that's
Correct,
excellent.
Commissioner. And, Park and Rec, while I'm on that, let me just run some things by you here. We had some vandalism going on. I don't know if you all know about, we had 2 trucks over in Caryville that was vandalized. They in the shop now. We had Verumen Park to be vandalized, the concession stand. The police pulled the videotape on that. I hadn't heard anything on that yet at this time. And D.W. Wilson was vandalized. The door was broken. Went at the concession stand, nothing was in there at D.W. Wilson. So it went from the east to the west with some vandalism. Also, just for your information, I had made contact with Michael Moran and Danny Collins. Duke Energy is wanting to donate some steel poles for us. We can use them at the soccer field. They are 7 to 8 feet long, so we're in the process of trying to find out how we can get them transported to the county yard.
They gonna donate them, they won't, ain't they got something long enough to pull them?
Yeah, that's what he said. If we couldn't get them moved, they were looking to making it happen for us.
Yeah, tell them to do it, 'cause, you know, we scratch each other back, we give them that airport during
Yes.
storm.
And there were brand new poles, Commissioner, they assembled, and after they realized they didn't need them, and rather than destroying them or taking them, they called me and said, look, you guys probably need these for your parks, for lighting. So I connected him and found it. Good things happen, so it's a good thing that Duke has done, giving us those poles.
Tell them the board thank them on behalf of the county. Make sure you write them a letter. When he get through, I want to put that in a motion to write them a letter and thank them. Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Okay, the Solid Waste Department got a requested action here. Department direction on purchase of equipment. In the past board meetings, I expressed the importance of having an excavator. So I'm here asking today permission to go ahead and purchase the excavator off the Florida Sheriff Association contract pricing that was discussed at previous meeting for the landfill. The purchase will be paid for by tipping fees received from the processing of Hurricane Michael debris. The quote is attached, and the purchase will allow the landfill to properly load the tub grinder and process debris more quickly. And this piece of equipment also was used by the road department to help with the hospital situation.
You already got it?
Well, it's on demo right now.
On demo?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you got the money for it? Yeah, I mean, you gonna, with FEMA coming?
It's gonna be paid for out of the tipping fee fund. On his proceeds, he's actually processed over 4 times his annual volume of waste through the landfill, so that was not expected, and that's something that
That's correct.
So that mean he got the money?
he does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Bowden, Commissioner Jones. Any more discussion on that?
I just wanted to recognize the fact, Mr. Chairman, that you have a dual use for this between intra-departments in our county. I like that idea.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Well, that was that big thing I seen turning the corner yesterday. I wonder.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Next item for action is East Point Fire. Request for the board to allow financial transfer the monies from the landfill account to Capital Area Community Action Agency. This money was collected from the old burn vehicles in the East Point Fire. Excuse me.
Pledge of the vote.
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Master. Any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
As it relates to these burned out vehicles, as we all know, when the fire happened, we took these vehicles to the landfill to have a place to store them so that if there was any insurance inquiries and all this on these vehicles, they sat there for almost, for a good 7 or 8 months. And then finally had somebody come in and get them. And of course, as we did with the the trailers and all the metal that come out of that fire, that money was also given back to Community Area Action Agency to help the people that were suffered harm in the fire. So this is the correct thing for us to do with this money. I'm all in favor for giving that money to the capital area where they can continue to help these people in different ways. I just wanted to put that out there.
Y'all ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Last thing I want to run by you, email you all this. I don't know if y'all got it, letting you know that the recycle bins have been pulled in temporarily due to the fact that the inoperable equipment, the trucks that pull the recycling bins, is both of them. The primary and secondary truck is down. So rather than just leaving the bin sitting out there overflowing, we was able to pull them in. So hope towards the end of the week we should have them back out.
That's good, because they would have been throwing it on the ground, and they will.
Yes, and they're doing that anyway.
It's full and Carabel on the ground.
We cleaned it up this morning, Commissioner.
Mr. Fonda, do you have any thoughts, we've talked about it before, about a mobile recycling service in places where we need a recycling bin, but we also need supervision? And I'm wondering if we could, if that's a considered point, something you might want to pursue.
Okay.
I'm thinking, for instance, like Lanark Village.
Right.
There's been some challenges in recycling, and I thought perhaps a mobile unit might be something to facilitate.
Yes, I think it'll work good, Commissioner. Alligator Point talked about it also.
Okay.
Lanark, and it would be good if we had somebody that would be willing to donate their time and, like you say, monitor the trailer. Can pull it out maybe at a fire station or something and let the resident recycle, pull it back in at the end of the day, and once it get full, the county can pull it in, go through the recycle, and pull the trailer back. So yes, I think it's a great idea.
I'd like to initiate an opportunity to work with you and see if we can develop a plan and maybe implement it by the fall.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'll get with you.
Good, thank you.
That's all I have, Commissioner.
Anybody got anything else for Mr. Davis?
A couple of things, Commissioner. First thing, before I get to the two things here, when we're talking about the excavator, I heard a couple of comments there in the audience about how much. I just want to let the audience know the board and the public has the quote in the board packet. So they do know how much it is. It's right there in the board packet. I don't want anybody to think that no one knows what we're paying for excavator. All right, getting to number one in my report, board action to ratify the chairman's signature on the Air Curtain Incinerator renewal permit and accompanying cover letter. This packet was due prior to today's meeting. And I bring this up because it's in case you have questions about the incinerator renewal permit, Fonda's here to answer those questions.
Praise to the board.
So moved.
Yeah. Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Burt. Any discussion on it?
Mr. Fonda, is that this incinerator that I saw on a field trip with you earlier in the year that was right next to the grinder, and it was a big, long rectangular item?
That's it.
That's
Yes,
it. It was down, and this helps get it moving again.
Well, no, the incinerator is still usable. But yeah, the permit to operate the
I understand that.
incinerator. This is what Mr. Moore
Okay.
is talking about.
Got it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
And likewise, the second item of my report, board action to ratify the chairman's signature on the solid waste grant application. The grant is approximately $91,000, and it was due prior to today's meeting. And I think we discussed the upcoming grant in the budget workshop, correct?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by both of them. Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Master. Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
While I'm here, Mr. Davis would like me to bring up another issue. Item 6 on my report, While reviewing the animal control budget during last week's budget workshops, the board discussed sending both the city of Apalachicola and the city of Carabel a letter requesting funding if they wanted the county to continue to provide animal control officers within the city limits. The board asked that I add this to my report for further discussion today. So I guess both Mr. Davis and myself, we need to know what are we asking? The attorney to start on a memorandum of understanding? Are you looking for a specific amount? What direction do you want us to go in with both cities?
We want them to pay their share, to pay their fair share.
Okay.
We doing the work, and it's in the boundaries. You know, we supposed to take care of the unincorporated area. But right about now, we taking care of the city problem, both of them, on the east and west, Appalachia and Carabel, in which we the county, but they should be able to control their own animals or at least contribute to us doing it, if they want us to do it.
Continue. If I could ask Aaron if you don't
We
mind.
got to get permission to go in there and do it anyway.
True.
We can't, we just can't, by right. Don't we?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Let me ask the lawyer. Don't we have to have permission to go in there and do that?
Under the current ordinance, as it was amended a couple of years ago, you are incorporating services within both the county and the two cities. Prior to that 2017 amendment, we only provided services for animal control in the unincorporated areas, and we excluded the city. So right now, if they do not want to enter into a memorandum of understanding to cost share with the county, then your option would be to continue what you're doing without a cost share, or to amend the ordinance and go back to what you used to do, which was not provide animal control services within the cities. Those are your options.
I have a thought, Mr. Chairman. I think we ought to reach out and show the city of Apalachicola the value of this to them financially. How much money are we spending, and maybe how it's proportioned there, and show that to both Carabel and Apalachicola, that they're not just a letter of suggestion, but just to show them the value we're offering for them. And I like that idea of just more and more we're beginning to see intra-local agreements and bundling of services with counties and cities, and we're going to even be talking a little bit about that more again today. So I think a letter would be helpful with money shown in it.
Well, and then again, they got the more vicious pit bulls out there all over the county. It wasn't like it was before. Now they got, and the people get mad. They want them to walk around like they children. They biting people, and as soon as they bite somebody, nobody don't want to own them. So it's something got to be done.
Chairman. Was there, Aaron, you might can help with this, wasn't there a number that we came up with during the budget discussions? And let me say, we were looking at trying to add another officer to this, because we're spending so much time within the cities, and we're looking at adding another officer to the animal control payroll, and that's the reason this subject of trying to get cooperation from the two cities to help fund this position.
What the board had actually discussed doing would be to add an animal control officer that was permanent part-time for 2 days a week. And the additional cost of that was about $14,000. So, that was the increase of Florida's animal control budget, was for the part-time animal control officer.
And I think the discussion was trying to get each city to contribute $7,000 to offset that cost. But we can't wait, because they, like the county, are now in their budget cycle and trying to develop their budget. So now is the time to ask them, not in October when the budget's already set. And from there, then this board, whether they want to participate or not participate, then we can figure out what we need to do. I think was the whole discussion that we talked about during so there's a reason why we're asking. It's not just because we're increasing staff in animal control to take care of all the burden that's being placed on the two animal control officers that we currently have. So I want to get that out there, that there's a reason behind this and trying to work together for the common good. I know they had during our budget discussions, one animal control officer spent the entire day in Carabel within the city limits trying to take care of the dog problems that they had over there. And you read about it in the newspapers and other places that they were having an issue over there.
Yeah.
So,
And to add to you, Commissioner Parrish, I think too, we were discussing about the coverage on the weekends is what we had a lot of concern about, that they were on call on the weekends, there's no patrols from the, and then we kind of went into the whole animals on the beach thing, you know, the dog and the leashes and enforcement and all that. So, yeah, it was a long discussion.
Yeah, no, any given day, we got 15, 20,000 day trippers on them islands between all three of them, sometime more than that. And it's easy for animal control if we can do it at the cities, you know, if they don't want to pay. Because they can spend the whole day out there on the beach.
True.
Mr. Chairman, I got a
Go
question.
ahead.
While we're talking about this, moving forward, everything works out, why don't we look at adding the part-time person to work on the weekend? It's a 2-day-a-week job, why don't we add the person to the weekend? So that way we're having 7-day-a-week coverage. Just a thought, you know what I mean?
Okay, so just use them just for the weekend?
Yes.
Well, they time can be off doing, I mean, what you mean, a part-time just for 2 days?
But what we're talking about adding is a part-time
It's
person
a
2 days.
part-timer for 2 days, what we're talking about right now.
Instead of doing everybody Monday through Friday, put that part-time person to work on the weekends. And they could rotate weekends, but then you have a 7-day coverage, because Commissioner, we're still, even with the leash law, let me tell you some things we got going on. We got people that have put a leash on the dog on the island and just still let the dog run free, but there's a leash on the dog.
Really?
Or they'll come with a 45-foot leash on the dog. So they still can go wherever they want to go down the beach and get up in everybody's business and go at everybody. They're not on a 3-foot leash or a 4-foot leash, so, yeah, we still have issues, and I think weekends would be really good. Just my 2 cents.
Albert's down right now, ain't he?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, you're correct.
Yeah, I think Albert's gonna be out for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, he's, broke his left ankle in, 3 places and tore some tendons in his right knee, so he had surgery on both sides. He's gonna be down for about 6 to 8 weeks, if not longer.
Might
So
be
we're down
longer.
to 1 officer, very little experience right now. So,
well, I think what, Mr. Chairman, we need to figure out what we want to ask the 2 cities for, so we proceed with this.
So, MOU, $7,000 apiece is what I'm hearing. Anything else?
That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Yes,
for
sir, I'm
that?
sorry. I do need a
I'll
motion
make-
to that.
I'll make
I
that
want-
motion.
And, okay, you got, I want you to add something to that.
Yeah, yeah.
If you will. Put in the, that if need be, the city's polices will come on call, or some of them get crazy out there. And if a county vehicle, if a county police is out of the area, city police be there. But a lot of times them officers go out there and people be wanting to jump on them and all that, they're talking about messing with their dog. Their dog should be locked up.
I'll amend my motion that if we decide, if everything works out, the MOU will include that an officer will respond with the animal control officer, because the animal control officer has no authority to handle civil matters. They're there to pick up the dog or this or that, but if they don't have no authority to, and people love their pets, now don't get me wrong, they love their pets. Some of them love the pets more than they do the children. But, I mean, that's just the way it is. People get attached to their animals, and that's the reason for trying to have an officer respond along with the animal control officer. So I'll amend my motion to reflect the chairman's suggestion.
Second.
Yeah.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioner, that's all I had.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could, just to respond to the two examples Commissioner Jones cited, to the extent people are doing what Commissioner Jones has said, that is a violation of the ordinance. That's not a smart way or a fancy way of trying to comply with the leash law. That's actually a violation, and they can be cited and taken to court and dealt with appropriately according to the ordinance.
You got some wise ones out there, they just do it for the,
Yeah, well, that's just somebody trying to get too fancy. You should not get fancy.
get that book and shake it at them and write it. Fancy that.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Davis?
No, that's it, Commissioner.
Anybody else got anything from Mr. Davis? Keep up the good work.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda will be Ms. Pam Bounier, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good news is, we don't have anything in the tropics.
Is we storm ready?
Once again, if our citizens have their plan, yes, sir, we're storm ready.
Okay.
I have two action items for the board this morning. The first one being the request the board's approval and signing of the Emergency Management Performance Grant, the EMPG, in the amount of $53,594.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Master.
The second one request.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Second
Beautiful.
one, request the board's approval and signing of the mutual aid agreement along with the resolution that goes to the state.
What is it?
The mutual aid agreement?
Yes, what does
That-
that
that-
entail?
That's our agreement with the state for their help.
Oh.
In other words, those resources that we requested, you don't get those unless you have an
So
agreement
moved.
with the state.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones.
And I'm gonna leave this with.
Wait a minute. Any more discussion on that? What about the resolution? You got the resolution?
I'm gonna
right?
leave it all with Michael, because there's several signatures that has to be on there. I think the marshal's signature has to be on there, and I believe the attorney's signature has to be on it. Michael has the packet.
It's part of the packet, Commissioner, that's what you're asking. The resolution's part of
It's part of the packet, yeah.
Okay,
You can do it one motion, if that's what you're asking.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously. Anything else?
Just an information item that's not on here. I am working on the hospital's comprehensive emergency management plan, which has to have my signature on it in order for them to get ACA or give them their license. I'm working with Nicole on that. Once I sign that, the board needs to understand that nobody can change that plan without notifying me first. So, once I put my signature on it, it's a done deal. If there's any changes to be made afterwards, I have to review that again.
You keep a copy of it now?
Yes, sir, I do. I'm required to keep a copy of it.
Okay.
And
And
I'm
do y'all
going-
run that, the lawyers look into it too?
Our comprehensive plan is actually, there is criteria that is set by ACA, things that I'm
Okay.
supposed to look for in that plan and check those things off. And once they meet ACA's requirements, then I put my signature on it. This
Okay,
all
well,
has to do with ACA,
So the state guideline?
the state guidelines, yes, sir. Not my guidelines, state guidelines. I'm just here to enforce their guidelines.
Well, you better, make sure it's right, cause they'll cut the check off.
Oh, yes, sir.
They will cut the check off. All right.
Mr. Chairman, Pam, is part of your response to get the ACA guidelines for emergency management relative to the recent site survey that ACA came and did in the hospital? And a follow-up question to that, was there any deficiencies that would have merited your attention in that area?
Every year, that plan has to be signed off. Every year, they have to submit their plan because there's always changes, especially with the hospital, turnovers on who you designate to do this. Exercises, I look at those. I look for sign-in sheets. Don't just tell me you did it. I want to see your sign-in sheet to see who participated in it.
Right.
And I also look at the signatures on there. I can tell whether one person signed everybody's name. That's not acceptable to me. I go through it because, you know, it's required, but first and foremost, you want our citizens to be safe when they go to the hospital.
Did we have any deficiencies at the hospital that required your intervention to fix recently?
I'm reviewing the book right now, and,
Okay.
and,
Are
and
you?
again, sir, as long as the ACO's inspection is totally different from that CMP book
I
that I
see.
do.
Oh,
It's
okay.
two different things.
Okay.
But without me signing off on their comprehensive emergency plan, which states what they're going to do during each disaster or emergency in that hospital, say a fire or you know, evacuation, things like that, they will not renew their license.
Okay.
And I'm in the process of going through it and working on it and working with Nicole to bring me some things. You know, they submitted some things, and again, I go through it and I'm like, okay, where's your? You say you do exercise. Where's your sign-off sheet? Gotta have them.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
That's it for me. Unless y'all have
Anybody
something.
got anything else for Mr. Lee? Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Pam.
Next on the agenda be Mr. Eric Love Training.
Morning, Commissioners. I do not have anything extra for you this morning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Eric.
I take 5.